Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you guys all so much for stopping by. My name is Eli. Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days in which we do live Q&A streams. But before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are also doing giveaways on our Twitter account, but outside of that, the two links you always need to check out. If we ever have spots available for Patreon, highly recommend you check it out. Get access to Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and so much more at wholesale prices. And then the Discord link down below is also the place to be if you want to be a part of the community or stay up to date on all things Pokemon USA. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a couple of shout outs to people that are here. So far, we got Senpai, Kevin, Matthew, Joker, Collectible Accounting, and Trinell. Wow, so we've got very little people so far. So if it ends up being slow, I'm going to need you guys to pick up your weight because I can only talk to myself so much. No, it'll probably pick up here in a second. But who knows? Maybe the CGC title turned a lot of people away. But I don't know. I felt like it was very eventful news. So I'm surprised. Well, am I really surprised though? Because it wasn't a video that says top 5 investing picks. Come on, let's be honest here, guys. If I am making a video about my top 5 investing picks, am I really gonna get views? Let's be honest. But I'm not doing too shabby. Hopefully you're doing well, Kevin. Did you set up to have an invite? Didn't see it on YouTube. Only could get it through the invite. Whoa, what? Oh my God, my link is on private. Oh, no wonder no one can join. I'm like, bro, what's going on? No one's watching. No one's watching my videos. I put it on private. No wonder. Oh my God. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Holy crap, guys. I totally forgot that I put it on private. Holy crap. Okay. Okay, no wonder. Everyone, we were watching a private video. No wonder that's going on. I'm gonna make a quick announcement about that. All right, so that was interesting. Okay, so for those of you guys, oh well, I just made the announcement about it. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I apologize about that. Okay, well, I was like, man, no one's showing up today. What's going on? Why is no one? I was like, I know the CGC news was like kind of uneventful, but like, is there something wrong going on right now? I don't know about. So, oh my gosh, that's so funny. All right, well, welcome to everyone who is trickling in. I profusely apologize for the delays on that. But let's hopefully give people a second for everyone to trickle on in, as we should start to see the viewer rate influx. But who knows? Maybe it doesn't matter. But I highly doubt it. Oh my gosh, that was interesting, folks. That was interesting. So apologize about that. But let's give another shout out. We're gonna do the official shout out as if we had people here, because I did the shout out. no one was here, so I'm gonna do it again. I was like, man, why does no one want to watch my video today? I'm sorry, I thought the CGC news was a good deal to talk about, but all right, shout out to who's here. Senpai, Kevin, Matthew, Joker, Collectible Accounting, Trinell, Chief, Fitness Coach, Chase 'em Down, Andrew, The Great Hero, Squid, Pika, Package Total, and yeah, that is it. Help, I can't join both at a time. What do you mean by that, Pika? Oh, Alex has his live now? Oh, is Alex going live? Oh my gosh, what? Why is he going live at the same time I always go live? That's kind of rude. And that's probably also another reason why my numbers are down, because I go live every Tuesday, Thursday. This fricker very rarely goes live. Wow. Man's got 138 viewers too. Sheesh. I'll tell you what, Alex knows how to pull in numbers. Like, that man knows how to pull in the numbers. 142 people, that's crazy. And so, yeah, Alex is live. While Alex is competing, I know, dick move, man. I know, I should call him out for it. I should message him right now on Instagram and be like, yo, that's a dick move for just going live and not having me on. That's just rude. I almost feel like it'd be funnier if I just messaged him and was like, hey, what do you got going on, my guy? You want to just want to go live together? Like, how long has he been going for right now? Because I gotta wonder if he's been going for that long. I can probably pull up his video and see what's the deal with that. But hopefully you guys are having a good day. Hopefully everyone is having a good time. Oh, he's been going for an hour and a half. Wow, he's been going forever. This man's been going for a long time. And so, but anyway, we'll just keep going then. Thoughts on the Titanic submarine? Oh, from an investability perspective? No. So in terms of, I have a comment I'll respond to, but in terms of the, I mean, I don't know. It's sad you don't want to see anyone, obviously, you know, in trouble. It's quite interesting to see, because part of me is like, oh, I'm surprised that they haven't found them yet, but also at the same time I'm like, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't find them. It's weird, because I obviously am not one that's an expert when it comes to the science of the ocean and knowing how to locate someone that's potentially miles and miles below the water, because I mean, the ocean is something that is still vastly, you know, unexplored when we really realize how large it is. So it's definitely kind of scary. I can only imagine what they're dealing with. It sucks. Mission, bring Alex's views over. That, yeah, right. Chase him down says YouTube drama brings in the views, planet out with him like a wrestler. I mean, dude, that's the thing, man, is he is an expert when it comes to the he's a master when it comes to the YouTube drama and clickbait. And I've talked to him about this before, and I'm like, bro, you're doing the Lord's work for the community. And it's funny because he's like such an isolating character, but I don't give a crap. Like, why do I care, right? Like, for me, I'm very much always going to be like impartial when it comes to my fans. Very much so. The people that I am friends with, like, you know, there's a lot of people in the community that don't get along with one another, and I'm friends with, you know, each one of them. But that's just because I try not to be divisive. But at the same time, come on, guys, I don't get enough views. I gotta be more divisive. I gotta crap on people. That's what I need to do. I need to make a call out video. You know what I need to do? I need to make I need to make a video where I just dump on Nostalgianomics just randomly, like no reason whatsoever. I just am like, Nostalgianomics, frick that guy, the work, like, and then it'll just get all the views, and I'll start so much beef. I'll get Jake from Pokénomics on, like, I'll make it a whole thing. We just talk, just for no reason, just be a dick. No, but yeah, I mean, we did a live not too long ago. I had a lot of fun with, obviously, with the live with nostalgia, so it's always a fun time having him. But we definitely are, obviously, you know, as most of us are in this hobby, have our own kind of ways on how we pull in views. And this guy, like I said, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. I will not, Pika. Think it's worth picking up a CGC 9.5 cheap and sending them in? Well, I heard the prices have been going up. I honestly, Matthew, am not really big into CGC, to be quite frank with you, and for me, this kind of turns me off even more. From an investment perspective, I mean, in theory, it might be worth it because, like I said, this is going to be a short-term memory thing, but I heard the $250,000 ticket bot was only for a one-way ticket. Oh gosh, that's right. A one-way trip to Bikini Bottom. That is so funny. You need to make a diss track on everyone, burn bridges, be the bad boy of Pokemon investments. Oh, dude, you know, you've got it figured out, man. You honestly got it figured out. Gotta love hot takes, yo. Make your thumbnail a scandalous one. Like what? Me opening Pokemon with my feet? That'd be scandalous. Gotta crank those drama videos up. You're pushing rookie drama numbers. Dude, Leonhardt, I'm done with Dude, Chase him gets it. He gets it, dude. He's like, I'm done with Pokemon. I'm moving on to Magic. Like, just makes a video like, I'm so tired with Pokemon. See, that's so dumb though, because like I feel like like obviously we joke about that, but God, videos like that, okay, nothing against Leonhardt, but I feel like when you do that like 4 times, you're just losing credibility at that point. Like, you're just 1,000% losing credibility. It'd be the funniest thing if I just titled the video that, and it's like, in today's video, we're gonna be talking about my top 5 investments. Like, literally, it's just a random title just to get clicks, and people are like, this is so not right. I just start, just random stuff. Yeah, just gotta open heavy base set packs for you know? Eli starts opening cards with his feet, calls it the new series only mons, you know? It's definitely there. New name is Magic USA, right? MTG USA, baby. That's what we call it. MTG USA. MTG USA. I mean, oh my god, that would be so... I don't know how that would go. Like, I don't know what the market response would be if I made a joke video about me opening Pokemon cards with my feet. Like, I feel like the cringe factor there could go one of 2 ways. It could be so good and it could be so bad. So, I guess only one way to find out. I'm gonna open a storefront. What do I need to be worried about? Money. Honest to God, okay, so this might come out as a... Okay, this might sound kind of controversial. I think that your biggest hurdle with a storefront is going to be your open liquidity to start. And then once you have the liquidity, then it's going to be making sure that you have the distributors for product. And once you have the distributors for product, then you're good. You're good. You're just completely good. And the reason why I say that is because as much as we want to sit here and say like, I'd love to be an only Pokemon shop, right? There is so much money in Magic. Like, it's stupid how much money there is in Magic. And how I envision a storefront is you can have, literally, you run it, this is how you would run it if it were me in a perfect scenario, right? You get at least, you know, a 1,500, 2,000 square foot place. Maybe you want to get it smaller, 1,200, whatever, right? You're going to have your general $2,000, $3,000 overhead cost at minimum, right? It's probably closer to 4 to 5, depending upon how big we're going, right? So you're going to have to make enough money to be able to, and this is just the storefront. We're not even talking employees, right? You're going to need someone to run a tournament. You're going to need to pay someone to man the front, and then more than likely you're going to want to pay someone to man the back. So in terms of general revenue, you've got multiple different ways of approaching this, right? And so for myself, it's one of those things where I feel as if you just calculate this appropriately, you can become successful if you have the initial upfront liquidity and you're able to get into distros and build up allocations fast. But even then, with Magic specific product, as discussed in the video that I made about, you know, how to make money off of TCG and everything, you can get all of your bulk and run an entire bulk operation purely off of breaking down sealed product. Whether it be opening new set releases, whether it be opening commander products, specialty products, etc., trainer toolkits, build and battle stadiums, VMAX League battle decks. As mentioned by the CEO of the Gaming Co., he believes that where the real money is made is on the specialty deals listed on these distro pages. So in terms of like really the way to make money, I think is you become a WPN, you run tournaments at least once a week, you hire someone to run tournaments. Their job is literally come in once a week, run tournaments for the day, you take care of that, you pay someone, right? You find someone that's competent enough to learn the alphabet and has some sort of, you know, attention to detail oriented, somewhat, you know, somewhat organized, and have them run like a Roka operation in the back. And then you hire someone that can just man the front. Or if you really want to, you can just come in and you can man the front, and then you can, you know, be on your computer. Or if you don't trust someone to run the Roka in the back, you can run the Roka and be on your computer and then hire someone to be at the front. Like, you can do this in a way where you realistically only need 1 or 2 employees, and one of those employees only shows up once a week. Because the reason why, and you might say to yourself, well, what's the point of getting WPN? WPN, you get massive, I mean, I don't know if, okay, you get like a decent amount of discounts on new Magic product, which is huge, which can be huge, right? Like anywhere between, you know, a $3 to $8 discount on new Magic product is massive when it comes to margins. And then on top of that as well, you know, you're going to get a whole wave of individuals that are going to come into your store, and during those Magic nights, they could say, I want to buy some product to buy, and then you're going to obviously have an opportunity to buy and sell singles there without having to do I mean, the endless possibilities of, it's kind of like how I look at this. When it comes to the Xbox, or when it comes to, I don't know if a movie theater is a good example. We'll say the Xbox, right? The company expects to lose money when it comes to their Xboxes. Where they expect to make money is through licensing games and through Xbox Live and other, you know, entertainment things, right? So when it comes to your storefront, when you have your storefront, you might think to yourself, like, what's the point of, like, you know, coming in and having these events if you're not very much community oriented, which, I mean, obviously, you know, my channel is very community oriented, our storefront's very community oriented, but I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to do that, I just want to sell online, which, you know, kind of defeats the purpose, specifically for Magic. It's a huge payoff in the end in that regard, beneficial wise. Not to mention too, same concept goes as well for getting the storefront. Sure, you know, you're gonna have sealed product you can sell slightly higher than you can sell, you know, Pokemon product, or their sealed product you can sell slightly higher in store versus online, but it's not really gonna pay the bills, considering, oh cool, I can make an extra $10 a pop a booster box. I mean, that's gonna be, it's margins, and volume will eventually prevail if you're able to do that volume over time. But the real money that's being made, for me personally, I believe, is the access to LGS specific items, which Pokemon is not LGS specific, but Magic and other sets are. Okay, where am I? He lost it all. Title with a thumbnail of you with a sad face and turns pockets, then flexes on them. Yeah, right. Just kidding, get played. So I guess it's time to start cracking all my PC CGC cards and send them to PSA. What do you think I should do? I was only collecting CGC because they tended to be cheaper than PSA. I don't think we should all have I understand that this news is causing immediate visceral reaction. Like, trust me, I completely understand that, because that's how this goes. But for me, I think that the best move right now is to just be completely patient. I think that if you can just be entirely patient throughout this situation and see how the market, if you're someone that's sitting on CGC right now, right? If you want to make speculative moves, you can, but if you are someone that's sitting on CGC 9.5s, I would just sit on your 9.5s and just watch what happens in the market, right? If you start to see there is a influx of value with 9.5s going up, then obviously keep holding them. If you notice that the value of 9.5 start to go down, then you can decide to crack them. Like, you really are in a good position right now where you can be patient with your 9.5s and you can look at it as a win-win situation depending upon how you play it out. Obviously, CGC is not so critical when it comes to, you know, surface level things. So potentially 9.5s could literally mean 8s with PSA, which is brutal, but sometimes 9.5s could be 10s in PSA. I mean, you never know. You just got to decide which ones you're going to crack and which ones are worth, you know, just selling off right now. But, you know, patience is always going to be the name of the game. I'm going to run my accounting in the back and collectibles in the front. There you go. Warrior is also already an LGS. Yes, Warrior is an LGS. I've talked with him many times, especially with Magic. Open a Poke massage parlor. Will you give people massages? We'll talk about Pokemon and pay them to open packs. Cosplay costs extra. Ooh, snap. I mean, at that point, why even open a parlor? Just, you know, just hire some OnlyFans people. That's what you really got to do. Oh, LMAO, I was thinking you'd have to be lots to worry about, such as how will I ever financially recover from this? Roku Robotics or bust, that's the way for sure. Or even event focused. Retail only focused is a dime a dozen on. Yeah, no, 1000%. You have to go the route of both, honestly. I think both. I think you need to do events and I think you need to do bulk. I know storefronts that are only sealed product based and they don't last long. You have to do both in order to be successful. Otherwise, you're just going to fail because there's so much money made in both those sectors. And there's so much... And you know, it's funny because everyone's going to be like, oh, well, Eli only cares about money, not the community. But it's like, we know I very much care about the community. But when we're asking questions to people or we're trying to let people know, like, from a business perspective, how to stay successful, like... community is key, and that's how it just is in business and life in general, right? When you have a loyal customer base of individuals that believe in what you're doing and they trust in you and they think that you're providing a product or service that is very enjoyable to them and the rest of people within the community, then obviously that's going to be value that's going to attribute, regardless of whether it's Pokemon or, you know, other trading card games. That just applies to anything in life. I mean, love it or hate it, there's a reason why the business model specifically for Dutch Bros is, you know, extremely successful, right? Like, you can maybe make an argument and say, I like their coffee more because they just dump sugar in it. But, like, let's be real here, right? Coffee, I mean, coffee, it's something that you can go get for cheap at home, or there's multiple other options, right? But the reason why Dutch Bros does so well is because they're very customer oriented. They're very much focused on giving you the best experience as you're going through the stands. And that's something that, you know, certain corporations certainly thrive off. Another one is Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A is also known for My Pleasure being their whole shtick, right? So it's very important to certain companies, and it creates a, you know, a sense of loyalty and or community and or relationship. So, and that's what matters, because relationship gets people to come back. You know, you've made it big on YouTube. When people recognize you off the streets, any experiences with that? Okay, so first and foremost, Pika, I need to make this very clear. I never leave my house, and it's a problem. I never leave my house. So, with that being said, I've left my house one time, and I did have someone recognize me. It was a really cool experience. I just have a problem with being social right now, because I am just working all the time, And I just recently started getting back into volleyball because I need to for my mental sake, because being stuck at home 24/7 was really unhealthy for me, especially since I gained a ton of weight because of the injury. And so I recently just started getting into volleyball again. But I went to a pre-release event for Scarlet and Violet at one of the local LGSs here. And someone recognized me, and I had like a half an hour conversation with them, and it was really lovely. So yeah, I've had that happen one time. But that, to be fair, was also the one time I've ever done it. So I'm gonna be honest with you, it's one of those things that's kind of weird because I didn't expect it to happen, but I expected it potentially to happen. Like, I'd have been like, dude, I have like 6K subs, like there's no way someone's gonna recognize me, right? And then, but at the same time, like, this is a very like niche hobby, and people that are at storefronts like this watch this content, so maybe someone will recognize. You know, it was one of those things that I found to be quite, you know, I didn't know, right? So I thought it was kind of funny when it did happen. Pokemon USA, do you have any experience grading jumbo cards? I do not have a single experience. My experience is having jumbo cards stacked in a pile in a corner. That's what my experience is. I never ever. Okay. All right, I see. How's the sleeping project going? So here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the deal. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm out here literally just now opening up the envelopes of all the Sleepy Pikachus. So if you guys are wondering, Eli, what's going on with the Sleepy Pikachus? I just recently started opening them up, and I still haven't sent them in. I mean, hell, man, I need to go through and check them out, because I mean, come on, guys, like, let's be real, like I'm sitting on so many Sleepy Pikachu. Like, I'm just sitting on them, and I haven't done anything with them because I just am so busy. So where's the project? The project is coming along, but it's ever so slowly. Ever so slowly. Since your last video, was it so over your next video? Should we... Whoa, I'm stroking out right now. Since your last video, was it so over your next video? Should be we are so back. Squid, I had a stroke reading that. Please. You can message again what you meant by that. I have no clue what that meant. Steam Siege giveaway with Alex next Tuesday. I should message Alex about that. Yo, is he still live right now? I think he's still live. Yeah, no, he's still live and he is still crushing it. I'll have to message him when he's done with his stream. Definitely gonna have to message him and see about doing a Steam Siege giveaway for the people that were originally in it. Looking forward to how it goes. I think prices are wait, I need to think back a little bit. I'll definitely have to message him and be like, him and Northwoods are the people I need to have on with it, because Northwoods also was one of the people that helped collaborate it. So we need to go back in time and do that. Yeah, of course. Imagine that. Guys like us selling and playing TCGs need to up our social game. That's what I'm saying, man. Do you think it's possible for new grading companies to beat out the status quo if they revolutionize the quality of service and make business smart decisions like customer loyalty and programs, etc.? Oh yeah, it's always possible. It's always possible, but here's the problem that a lot of people don't consider is that the minute one of these companies starts to become successful, that a bigger company recognizes it and then buys them out. And I understand that people like will get pissed at the company because they'll be like, man, you're such a sellout. How could you? You were gonna be competitors with them. But a lot of these people, man, their whole dream, like a lot of people's American dream, is building a company big enough to which they can sell off eventually and then just retire. So it's one of those things for a lot of people where it's like, okay, they could have a company where they get the status quo and then all of a sudden, boom, they just get bought out. So is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Doubtful. Not unless someone's really passionate about being the big dog and saying, FPSA, I'm going to become, if we're talking PSA, right? FPSA, we're gonna compete against them, right? Like, unless that's someone's real life goal. Dude, I'm so big shot. Me and my 6,000 followers, dude. My ego is massive. Like, when I go into stores and I'm like, I'm not getting this for free. Do you even know me? I'm Pokemon US. And like, come on. Looking forward to how it goes. I think prices have already gone up since your purchase. For my Pikachus, I thought prices went down for my Pikachus. We'll have to look on that and see what prices are looking like for the Pikachus. Because last time we checked, I remember that we're looking pretty rough. Let's see, Pokemon. Oopsie, I had an option to click it, but I didn't. All right, where is the Pikachus? The Pikachus in Near Mint, they're selling for. They're selling for about $5 a pop, roughly. Selling for about $5 a piece. Yeah, man. I mean, come on. Look how many pages there are of this item. This goes as far as up to line 11. That's how many of this there are. Like, there is so many of this product available, it's insane. Like, on line 7, you finally hit $8. On line 6, you finally hit $7. So that means the first 5 lines are all the way up to $6.50. Like, that's so ridiculous. I don't know, guys. Like, the prices are... I mean, there's so much of this available. There's so much of this available. Northwoods is on his channel. They both don't like you, but it's okay. I like you. What do you mean they both don't like you? Get out of here. He's half an hour behind comments. Jeez Louise. Talk about dedication. What do you mean they don't like me? That's not true at all. If they didn't like me, they wouldn't come on my stream. Or at least I would think so, but who knows? What do I know, I guess? Maybe they hate my guts. Maybe they hate my guts and I don't realize it. I'm here for the submarine missing drama. Oh, submarine missing drama. I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit on stream already, but it's definitely terrifying. I think the Hero Pikachu from CZ is a better investment. Oh, the Secret Rare Pikachu from Crown Zenith, do you think is a better investment? I mean, it's entirely possible. It could be. I heard it was pretty easy to pull. Plans on doing more and more box breaks to amp up your sales? I honestly should. Box breaks are one of those things that, if I'm being completely honest, they're rough, man. They are so hard to do. Like, and I know it doesn't get talked about a lot. The idea of opening packs is super fun up until you're on pack like 300. When you're on pack 300 or 400, it gets so brutal. Like, your body is like, because you're hunched over forward, your shoulders are sore, your fingers in some instances are getting blisters. Like, you might not realize it, but it gets so brutal. So for me, I'm like, from a content perspective, obviously it'd be nice to do it, but mentally speaking, it gets so draining. I mean, you guys remember PokeRev. PokeRev used to do, like, it was like, I can't remember what day it was, but he used to have a consistent day or two where he would do live breaks and straight up open like 700, 1,000 packs, like crazy stuff like that. And then it ended up being too much for him, and he had to put it on pause because he just said this is too much. Sorry about that, guys. My fiance came in and had some questions for me. But how about smaller, more frequent box breaks? Yeah, well, that's the thing is, if I were to do smaller, frequent box breaks, it depends on what we define smaller as and what we say as a box break, right? We talked about this a while ago, wanting to do like more vintage style box breaks. I've just been so overwhelmed lately, and I feel like I'm constantly playing catch up, so it's kind of tough for me. Man, I just need the day where I just say to myself, we're not gonna have to ship out 1,000 packages, but you know, that's not gonna be a reality of the situation. I just need to plan one out and make it just happen. I just need to plan one out and just make one happen already. So, I mean, it would be fun to do a box break. I know we talked about doing a Primal Clash one like forever ago. The Japanese sleeping Pikachu were the ones to buy, not English. This is going to take harder when reprints come. I mean, oh my god, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry about that cough. Well, I mean, here's the deal, man. When it came to the sleeping Pikachu, the buyout was not something that I did because I thought this was this brain, you know, forehead investment. This is just something I did for fun, right? Now, this was something that I was like, yeah, I think it'd be fun to open this, right? And at the end of the day, no matter what happens in terms of Paldea Evolved, because let's be real here, guys, prices are going to correct with Paldea Evolved at some point. And they're already kind of correcting, like slowly, not like super intensely. I mean, the Magikarp obviously took a little bit of a dive, but since then it's kind of been flat, roughly around that. Oh, no, wait, listing without photos. Where's it at? No, it's taken a dive already. Yeah, it was at 70 like a week ago. Now it's at 60. So yeah, you're starting to see an adjustment, at least with the Magikarp, which I guess shout out to me because I never pulled it. But like cards like the Raichu, right? Where you have the sleeping Raichu, where it's sleeping upside down in its bed. If cards like this stay prevalent, because this is almost a $30 card at some point, I feel like you're going to have people that are going to want to collect a double set. And that's going to be in both English. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did a sleepy Pichu at some point. Just to kind of make like the set. Because I think that designs like this, people are super like big fans of, right? But at the end of the day, the purchase itself was, like I said, it wasn't this big forehead mastermind of a plan to invest in. This was just something I did for fun and say, hey guys, let me just buy a crap ton of them and send them off to BGS and just see what happens, just for funsies, right? Sure, it's going to cost me a lot of money, but it's for content, I guess, right? Look at the secret birds from Hidden Fates and PSA 10s. What about them? I mean, do you want me to look at it right now? Are you talking about the glass stain? Or are you talking about, which one are you talking about? I think he's talking about the Steam Siege prices going up, not the Sleepy Pikachus. No, I think, wait, who are we talking about? You need someone who knows how to optimize and optimize tasks to come on board. I mean, yes, yeah, I mean, I always need someone to do that, but at the end of the day, Pika, in terms of, you know, quote unquote optimization right now, my fiance is really efficient and is really detail oriented, and she does a phenomenal job. But also at the end of the day, it still doesn't change the fact of the matter that there's only so much that can be done from an optimization perspective until it starts to become an equation of labor, right? So like, for example, with our current operation that we're doing, the problem is that we aren't able to get a ton of bulk. And even with that being said, we have a lot of people within the Patreon program that want packs. And so what we do is we break down a lot of packs that we acquire from Build and Battle Stadiums. And we do it because not only do we get bulk, but people also get packs for free. And so for myself, it's one of those things where we're sitting on, 30, 40, 50 cases of Build and Battle Stadiums that we're breaking down each week. So it's not a matter of like, oh, finally we got caught up, we can take a breath. It's a matter of, all right, we got caught up, we're probably going to put in another order for 40 to 50 cases of Build and Battle Stadiums and have to break them down for packs again, right? And that's the thing, is if we didn't have to break down any of that product, our time would free up drastically, right? It would. But right now, when you're trying to get access to older products, and at this point it's wild to say that, like, first half Sword and Shield era, just Sword and Shield era period product, and to sell off to people, and you're having to do it by breaking down stuff, it's just a process, right? And although we have the Roka, which helps with automation, another thing as well, some of the bulk that we are getting, outside of what is from the Build and Battle Stadiums, it has to be sifted through because we still get outside bulk from some of our partners, and the way in which it has to be sifted through takes so much time. And so it's a choice that has to be made, right? Do we spend time sifting through the boxes, or do we spend time breaking down Build and Battles, right? Because you can only choose one or the other. And then you also have to ship out the cards. So there's so many different things. There's always a task that needs to be done, which we're going to try and see. We're currently in the process of looking into getting a fizz batch machine just for pre-sorts, because that will save so much time, because then one of those, two decision-making things, right, that needs to be decided will be automated as well. And so at that point, really everything for the bulk operation will be automated. The only thing that isn't going to be automated at that point is just shipping out the product. And then the main focus at that point will just be to break down sealed product to sell off the packs, right? Because then we'll have the fizz batch to sift, we'll have the Roka to sort and upload. And then if we do envelopes, we have a card sorting machine, or not a card sorting machine, but a paper folding machine that we use to help fold, so we can be faster when it comes to envelopes. And we buy windowed envelopes as well, so we don't have to cut everything and tape it on. And then with that, it's really just doing polls and then just making sure that everything's running smoothly. So for the bulk operation, so that itself will be extremely automated. And it'll just ultimately come down to just let's break down packs, and that'll free up more time, right, to do more projects and other things such as consistent box breaks and such. I told Eli look up Sleeping Pikachu from Dark Phantasma, and he proceeds to buy 100 Lost Origin Sleeping Pikas. Oh, well, I had a lot of people talking about the English one as well as the Japanese one. What's with more in a year, Nostalgianomics shirt or Lost Sleeping Pikachu? I mean, probably in a year, probably the Pikachu. I mean, Nostalgianomics shirt is it's gonna do well, very much so in the short term, but it just it isn't investable in the same way. Pokemon's a multi-million-dollar IP brand, It is a multi-million-dollar IP brand. Who wants to volunteer to pack orders and open packs for Eli? I mean, like I had my buddy on the stream on Tuesday, it was, to straight up just help me open Pokemon packs. And, I've always been nervous about bringing someone outside to help out with things. But I was like, bro, we're just opening packs. Like, this is just a buddy of mine helping me go through and break down 1,000 packs. This is something that I was already gonna do behind the scenes, but this time people asked me to do it in front of a camera, and so I did it, and we realized we didn't pull a single Magikarp because life hates us. but yeah, no. So, which I had a blast. That was definitely a fun time opening it up. I will say though, I definitely felt slightly cheated. Like, we did good because we did the calculation totals at the end, and we basically we're shooting for $3 a pack, and we literally hit $3 on the spot, like, you know, 3,000. So we opened, yeah, I can't remember what the exact number was, but like we pretty much nailed it like on the dot. And yeah, it was a nice time. Do you think the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved will tank faster than the Titanic submarine? Man, you guys are ruthless. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It is so tough for me to say, do I think this item is going to tank or not? Because so far, it's been an item that, yes, I think it's definitely, like, I definitely think that it's overvalued drastically. Don't get me wrong. But I also thought that the Machamp was overvalued, and that card is still just as expensive as it is. Now, maybe there's an argument to be made that when it comes to the rarity, it's going to be a completely different situation because the Machamp was much harder to pull. But also at the exact same time, you guys saw my personal experience when it came to pulling the Magikarp, so I don't know. Like, it's considered to be just a regular standard character rare. But at the end of the day, we opened over 1,090 packs and we didn't pull it, right? Which is funny because we did a break of a booster box break for opening release week and we pulled it twice. Which is why, you know, 100% confirmed, you can only pull the Magikarp in booster boxes. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, guys. It's just 100% confirmed from what we've done. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, it's something that it could hold more than people realize. I'm not saying it's not going to drop, because let's be honest here, guys. It just dropped $10 in the past like week. And the week before that, it dropped another $10. So it's dropping. It's going down from its high, right? But it started off at $20. So for it to go to 20 down and up to 80 and 80 down to 60, I don't know. It should be easy for a volunteer to fold boxes and put stuff in it. Except people don't volunteer. People want money, obviously. That's not how it works. Didn't realize I bought Japanese Sun and Moon booster boxes 3 years ago. Hey, shout out to you on that one. That's pretty sweet. I mean, in theory, I could go and I could pay someone outside to be like, hey, well, you're just going to be a helper that comes in once a week to break stuff down and like write on a Sharpie box. But that's money that eats into margins, right? And until we're big enough, like from a scaling perspective, where it makes sense for me to hire someone to do that, it's really difficult to justify that at this moment in time, right? Because if you really think about it, right, and I say I'm going to have someone, their job is they're going to spend 8 hours, they're going to spend 8 hours breaking down product, and I'm just going to pay them bare minimum, right? Like I'm not even, like I'm just paying them $15 an hour. That's going to cost me $120, which I don't know. You ask yourself how much of that, you know, is worth to you to just hire someone $120, come break down stuff. And it's not like you have to hire someone that's a professional box breaker. Like, come on, let's be honest. But I don't know, maybe I say to myself $120 to free up a full 8 hours of my day. I guess that is worth it when you really think about it. To be fair, right? It focuses more on the Roka operation to be done. I just have to make sure that that individual is an individual I can trust, and that's kind of the biggest problem. It's hard to find good people that you can trust, right? When it comes to work. Lord knows it is tough to find that these days. Have a Poke packing party? A Poke packing Alright guys, so I'm going to invite all of my 0 friends that I have in Arizona to come over, and we're all going to package boxes together. Alright, let's do this, baby. I mean, at the end of the day, when I do most of my shipments, I do most of my shipments on Mondays and Fridays. And sometimes it ends up only being one of those days too, because of, you know, one of them being from the storefront and one of them being from here. I don't know. It's possible to do. Definitely frees up a lot of time. If I literally say, hey, I'll pay you $15 an hour, your job is literally just break down product. Like, that's it. Like, it's a super simple task. I think the new pull rates are screwing up release pricing. I don't know, man. I honestly, here's my opinion on things, right? When it comes to the new pull rates. I know people are going to hate on me potentially for saying this, but I think at least for Paldea Evolved with the current pricing and with the pull rate, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's so good. I think it's awesome, right? Now, granted, it's not nearly as good right now for Scarlet and Violet base set. You know, if, let's say, this Miram was 120, the Gardevoir was 50, 60, right? Like, you had some of these cards that were higher up in price, but this set's been out since March. So this is now been out for a while. So, of course, prices are going to go down. Because remember the Gardevoir price, guys? I mean, we know what the price was at its initial release. And it's found its bottom. It has. But it dropped from release week by 30%, 40%. So it's dropped quite a bit. And, I mean, the Miram's the one that's taken the biggest shot in the foot, right? We're talking release week, $80, and it's now 52. That's a huge hit. That's a massive hit price-wise. So you look at this and you say your top hits, they're not expensive, right? They're not. But also at the same time, the love for Paldea Evolved comparatively, and maybe, you know, maybe hindsight's 2020, this is a brand new set. Everyone's excited for it to be a new set. There's a hype over the Iono. Like, you know, maybe it's comparable. It's not comparable in that regard. But as we saw with my stream, and I didn't pull the Magikarp, there's still potential right now for value in opening Paldea. There's still a ton of potential. And that's what I honest to God like about it, because here's the deal, guys. SIRs, when it comes to SIRs, what's the worst SIR you can get? Okay, you can get a $6 and a $6 SIR. That blows. That sucks. Hitting an SIR that's worth that much sucks. Right? Now let's take a look at Fusion Strike if I can spell it, because I can't spell. I have so many problems. I'm not even going to bother trying to spell. We're just going to go to Fusion Strike. Now let's go to Fusion Strike, right? And let's take a look at the pulls you can get. Okay, obviously, you know, you hit the Espeon, you hit the Gengar. Big money, right? Cool, big money. Fantastic, right? However, what can you also hit in this set? You can also hit... Where is it? Sandaconda, which is going for $549 as an SIR. Where is it? Where's the Greedent? Where's the Greedent SIR? There it is. All right. And you can hit a Greedent, which is going for $11. And when you look at the selection, right, you've got those two cards that are worth like crap. They're terrible, right? And then you've got the Genesect alternate art, the Celebi alternate art, the Inteleon alternate art, right? These are all about, you know, the average range of what's in Paldea Evolved right now. And then you've got your big hitters, right? You've got your big hitters. It's doubtful you're going to hit these, but if you hit them, you hit them, right? If I compare a set like this, and we're going to pull this up on the second screen, and I compare it to a set like Paldea Evolved, right? There's a couple of factors I take into consideration when it comes to opening. Factor number one when it comes to cards, right? And these are two sets I think are really good to compare. Uncommons. Your highest card you can get is 152. You obviously have reversal energies, all these other cards. And this is a new set, so prices are inflated, but this is a competitive set. And there's a lot to love here, right? Fusion Strike. You know, we go take a look at Fusion Strike and we look at the most expensive card. There's still Battle VIP passes going for 160. You've got Judges going for 40 cents. This is still a really good set in terms of opening, right? There's a ton of value still in this reverse slot. Obviously, this is better right now because it's a new set, but still very, very much so comparable, right? Now, here's where things get a little bit different when comparing to the two sets, right? So when looking at the main hits in the set, obviously this is much more top heavy. And when we consider the fact of the matter, the pulls that you're going to get with this, sure, you get much more top heavy hits here, right? But this set is lacking something that Paldea is not. And that's characters. You hit a character, that's $5. Boom, free. Free $5 on average, right? You've got some characters, I mean, Magikarp going upwards of $60. You've got Raichu's going for $20. You've got other, you know, acid trip looking ones going for $10 to $13. And then you've got ones going for as low as $3 to $4. So like you're very, very probable going to hit one of these and it's going to be a free pack or two. On top of the Ionos, which are also going to pay for 50% of a pack. So sure, you might not get, like, these are not going to be super easy to pull, which, honest to God, Chien-Pao was super easy for me to pull. We pulled so many of this. But Iono, obviously, super tough to pull. Magikarp, we never pulled it for the 1,000. Sure, these are going to be tough to pull. But Raichu, we hit Raichu 5 or 6 times. And that's a $21 card. Like, we hit this many, many, many times. In SIRs, we averaged an SIR 1 in 30 versus with these, these are average 1 in 72. And I say to myself, all right, well, let me look at this set, right? So if I'm averaging regular SIRs 1 in 30, right? So super easy. And for the first pull, it was 1 in 24. So you take that average, you're saying closer to 1 in 26, 1 in 27, right? And you go look at this and I say, okay, well, I might average these 1 in every 2 booster box. So these are first and foremost harder to pull. But in terms of just regular cards, like a gold or a rainbow, it's probably going to be around the same to pull them as the SIRs. Okay, well, what's the value of the regulars? Unless you're pulling the Rainbow Mew, your best hits are going to be these $7, $8 cards. Because you're going to maybe hit one of these in a booster box. But most of these cards, $3 to $4. And that's what makes it brutal. Because with this set, you hit golds, you hit SIRs, like, sure, you can hit one that's lower on the totem pole and it's going to cost you, you know, oh my God, I hit a $5 gold. But you've got possibilities of hitting $10, $15 golds. You got possibilities of hitting SIRs in the 15, 20, plus 30, you know, $40 range. And those are 1 in 30s, where these are 1 in 72s, right? And that's kind of the point. And on top of that, not only are these 1 in 72s, but it's also 1 in 72 for you to also hit a Sandaconda and hit a Greedent, compared to hitting one of these, which is what you want. And so you can be very selective versus the pool of cards. You've got really 2 or 3 cards you don't want to hit, but if you hit any of the other SIRs, you're happy. And that's, I guess, the point that I'm making with Paldea Evolved, is it's just ridiculously profitable. And Fusion, you know, I think is a really good comparable example because it has a decent variety of cards in the top. It's got a decent amount of cards that are competitively viable. Obviously, it's an older set. This is a newer set, but at the end of the day, you know, it might be slightly comparing apples to oranges here, but it doesn't matter. It's a new set, and I think it's a set that's worth opening, right? So when talking about expected value for Paldea, I think it's incredible. I think it's incredible. I think it's a phenomenal set. I think it's an incredible set. I think it's a set people are sleeping on that's going to do incredible long term. I've said this before. I'll say it again. People see this set as the Rebel Clash of Sword and Shield era. That's what people see it as. I don't see it as that. I see this as a set that's got phenomenal artworks, that's got waifu cards, that's got amazing pull rates for amazing prices. Now, let's be honest here, guys. If all these cards were worth like $5, this would be a completely different argument. But they're not, which is why we're making this argument to begin with, right? So I'm loving it. I'm honest to God loving it. The fact of the matter that rather than me trying to sell the packs off for $3.15 a piece and spend extra money shipping off packs, I can sell off the individual bulk cards, and I can do it in a much higher volume because the volume for Paldea packs is not that high right now, right? The volume for Paldea packs is so low. I mean, let's take a look and just see what Paldea, what the sealed product is going for right now, right? You can get the sealed product booster box. You can buy it in most places for $92, right? That you can go to Facebook Marketplace, some websites, $92 a piece. 92 divided by 36, you're paying $2.55 a pack, right? We average $3 a pack, and that's without us hitting the Magikarp, right? That is without us hitting the Magikarp. So, I don't know, guys. If there's anything, I guess, you take away from the video that we had a discussion about, I think it's take away from don't let your bias, determine the fact of the matter that there's still value in this. Also, I went in and we did the breakdown value for the Paldea Evolve bulk, and we put it as averaging 5 cents a card to be conservative, and it was 6 cents a card. So we can add another $40 to our final value. So we undershot it because we were being conservative, and we ended up doing more. So it's fantastic. The bulk is phenomenal right now. What's up, Dual Breakers? Glad to see another person. SantaCon is a terrible alt art. Thanks for the insight of pricing. Appreciate the response. Yeah, of course. See, average player gets it. 99% of gamblers quit right before they hit big, man. That's why I said, you know what? I didn't pull the Magikarp after stream. I'm going to go open some Silver Tempest. Okay, actually, I was going to make a joke here. I was going to make a joke about Silver Tempest, but the EV on Silver Tempest is atrocious. It's so bad. Maybe small pack size, small anecdotal. But here's where my disdain is for the EV on this, right? So, right now, in this set, when it comes to alt arts, it's basically Lugia or bust. And this is once again 1 in 72, right? If it's Lugia or bust. In terms of the full arts, you can get some decent, $7, $8, $9 full arts. Serena full art, is the main one. If you get that, fantastic. There's a lot to bust on in terms of rainbows. It's really Lugia or bust. Same concept with gold cards, right? But what interested me the most about this is I looked at it and I said, okay, well, there's a Lugia V and a Lugia V Star. And these are great, right? Because this pays for, 3 packs. This pays for 3 packs. And then I looked at the Forest Seal and I said, whoa, a holo that's worth $12? Dude, I hit this holo. That pays for 4 packs, and this is a holo, right? And so I looked at the expected value, and I took that into consideration when opening. And maybe I have to open more. Maybe I have to open more packs. I didn't pull a single Forest Seal off of 100 packs, and it was brutal. It was brutal. And you know what's hilarious about it, too? So we opened 100 packs. We got one alt art. It was the Skunk Tank. Our best trainer that we pulled was Worker, which, going for $10. That's fine and all. We pulled the Lugia V-Star. We pulled the regular Lugia. And then in terms of what we hit in the trainer gallery, we hit the Rayquaza. We hit the Blaziken. And we also hit the Duraludon. So in terms of the trainer gallery, we did phenomenal. We did phenomenal with the trainer gallery, right? But even with doing phenomenal in the trainer gallery, the amount of duds you get in Silver Tempest, it's brutal. And the reason why I say it's brutal is because when I go look at a set like Silver Tempest, right? And I go to, let's just say the uncommon commons, right? If I look at the uncommon cards, best case scenario is going to be a 30-cent Kirlia. Versus with Paldea Evolved, I can get $1.50 Iono. right? And don't get me wrong, like, you know, 32 cents is better than nothing. But it's just not enough to help make up for it, right? And then you go as well to Silver Tempest and you say the trainer gallery. Sure, I hit the big hitters, but on average, if you're hitting just a yellow border, what is a yellow border going to do for you? Maybe $1, 60, 70, 80 cents. Versus we go to a set like Paldea, which even the worst character rares you get are going to be $3-4 a pack. So the floor for Paldea is much higher than the floor for Silver Tempest, which is what I like about it. Even with that holo, you know, that holo, yeah, trust me guys, I wish that holo was more possible to hit, but it's just not. And in terms of this, you know, set, obviously with the holos for Paldea Evolved, there's not only 3 holo rares. What is going on here? Do I need to do a quick refresh here? Here, let's try this again. I think it's doing some weird glitch out. It's saying there's only 3 holo rares. Well, that's not right, because there's a lot more than 3 holo rares. But anyway, yeah, because this is a holo foil. So if you look at the most expensive holo foil, and this is obviously like 26 cents, you know, but you also are pulling a holo foil every pack at worst. But think about this, guys. You're pulling a holo foil in every pack. The value you get from getting more holo foils and reverse holo foils, it's fantastic, right? Yeah, my EV on ST was bad, but my EV on ST was bad considering I also pulled the best and like the 3rd and the 5th best character rare in the set. And I pulled an alt art, right? Which kind of goes to my point. That's I guess the point that I'm making with ST is you have to hit the big ones, and even if you hit the big ones, it sometimes still isn't worth it. For me to have made value, we did the math. I think it ended up with bulk and everything, it ended up being like $200 in value. So we lost $1 a pack in theory, right? For us to have made value, we had to hit the Lugia. We had to hit it. And there was no way we were going to hit it. That was the only card we could hit unless we hit like the Rayquaza twice again, right? It's tough. How do you ship like 10 cases of collection boxes? 10 labels all combined, or one giant box? I don't know what a collection box is. I apologize. I don't think I know what you're referencing. Collection boxes? Don't know what a collection box is. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Me going through makes me want to open more Paldea. It's a fun set to open. Oh, more Peko Playmap axes. How do you ship like 10? You have to ship them by each of their cases. There's not really a cheaper way to do it. They're really expensive to ship, which kind of sucks. Depending upon where you live, it's anywhere between maybe 10 to 20 bucks. It's really, and 10 bucks is like the next state or within the state. Proves that rarity does not, 1,000%, 1,000%. But also at the same time, I mean, obviously I had a small sample size, but what really is rarity, right? Like, in theory, everything is seeded the same, but from my anecdotal experiences when opening certain packs, it's really tough for me to say that I look at the value of these cards and I'm like, wow, I'm struggling to pull this, right? But also at the same time, to, you know, make a counter argument to that with another perfect example of a set, Brilliant Stars, right? That is a set where I opened 1,000 packs and I got one alternate art, and it was Luminion. And if you look at the alternate arts for this set, they're dirt cheap. right? So they're super, you know, in theory, you know, difficult for me to pull from my personal experience. So, you know, you have to go off of the numbers of what the general averages are. Anecdotal experience, as much as we want to take it into consideration, it's extremely difficult. So if someone wants to open some more Silver Tempest and do a larger, you know, case study, then by all means, definitely do it. It's just tough for me because if I don't, you know, I look at the holos in this set and I say, how many holos rares in this set, right? There's 13 holo rares. So I say there's 1 in 13 is the odds, right? So if I get a holo, there is a, then what? I divide this by 3. So my chance in theory of pulling a forest seal is a 2.5%. And so you have to think about that, guys. You have to think about that. The forest seal, the odds of pulling the forest seal is 2.5%. It'd be nice to pull it, but 2.5% because you're averaging a holo. You know how disappointing it was to pull a V card? God, I hate Vs. Eli, you have to consider the non-holo rares because they take up the same slot. For which set? Are you talking about for Silver Tempest? Because I'm talking about, so for Silver Tempest odds, your odds of pulling a holo are 1 in 3, and then your odds of pulling a the forest seal, because there's 13 of them, is 1 in 13. So I just did the numbers on both of those. Will Lord of the Rings crash first or Paldea? Lord of the Rings I don't think is going to crash. If it does crash, it's not going to be as dramatic as people are thinking. Because I highly doubt that the ring, I mean, I could be wrong. I highly doubt that the person who's going to pull the ring is going to be public about it. Okay, you're referencing Silver Tempest. Yeah, then I'm only counting holo rares as a variable because you have a 1 in 3 shot of getting a holo rare. So obviously with regular rares, they're guaranteed, but you know, I can just filter that out by just holo rare odds. Could you do like a breakdown before shipping? So playmat promos and packs are in one box, excess plastic and cardboard, throw it in. I know you have a right schedule, or rather pay you than PO. That's definitely possible. I mean, we could definitely look into that. It's just really difficult because where we're getting the playmats and all of that stuff from, we're getting that from but that's being shipped to the storefront. That's not being shipped to me. So I have to now pay someone to also break it down. So I might actually end up losing money doing that for you. So I don't know. I have to consider that. I just got confirmation from GameStop of my order for 3 ST Stadiums are still on back order from when they was a price glitch. That's tough. Eli's making me want to open Paldea, even though I know the EV really isn't there. I don't know, man. I don't know. The EV kind of is there, though. It kind of honestly is. Because think about the math on this, right? So of the Ionos, and this is just off of our general polls, right? 1,090 packs. We pulled a grand total, and whether this is seen as good or not, we pulled 47 regular Ionos, which are going for about $1.50 a piece. And then we pulled the reverse holo ones, which are going for about $2.30 a piece. So divide that by 58. Okay? So $1.65 is what the average value of the Iono is. So we pull 58 Ionos in general off of 1,090 packs. So if we say that we now have, as a floor, We've got a grand total of a 9-cent floor per pack, thanks to Ionos. TCG player opened like 5,000 packs, so I trust theirs more than your 1,000 pull rate. That's fair. That is totally fair. Does TCG player, here, let's see if we can actually look that up. Let's see if we have their Paldea Evolved pull rates. So, the Ionos were 1 in 480. The Chin Pao was 1 in 480. Wow, we pulled this so many times. Holy crap. Their special illustration rares were 1 in 32. Ours were 1 in 24 the first time and 1 in 30. Their ultra rares were 1 in 15. Illustration rares were 1 in 13. How many illustration rares did we pull? I can't remember how many illustration rares we pulled. We pulled quite a bit. 1 in 13? That might be right. I can confirm with the hyper rares. We did not pull a ton of hyper rares unless you consider that one. I would auction it right away, Alex, but I would auction it on the down low. Huh, interesting. So I'm curious to see what their general pull rates on other cards were. So double rares 1 in 7, ultra rares 1 in 15, illustration rares 1 in 13. Special illustration rares 1 in 32. But they said the most expensive ones, those were the pull rates that they got for it. But they don't give any of the statistical breakdowns for the rest of the stuff. You've been getting 3 illustration rares per booster box? That's slightly better odds than what they got. Iono's 1 in 480. This I believe. I believe this because we hit this twice. We only hit it twice. So, and with the previous box we opened, we didn't hit it at all, and I hit it in like 30 packs previous to that. So this makes sense to me. This also makes sense to me. The Tyranitar and the Magikarp also makes sense to me. The Chin Pao, we pulled the Chin Pao so easily though. I don't know, it's tough. I mean, once again, guys, it all comes down to luck, right? But here's the deal: if we're looking at the sample size of this, other than Chen Pao, it pretty much lines up with our sample size. Because we pulled this once. We pulled this once out of, we've opened 1,500 packs Paldea Evolved, and we've pulled this once. So we had worse odds than this. We've pulled this twice. So this is also, we had also had worse odds than this. But we pulled the Chimpeo a ton. We've pulled this card a ton. We've pulled it like almost 9 or 10 times at this point. So that's where it becomes difficult, because obviously going off to the law of averages with that kind of 5,000 pack pull rate, in theory, would it have averaged out for us in the Champeos to get worse? But then here's the same argument to be made with any of these other cards, right? The averages of this could have gone down, but the averages of these could have gone up, right? Like, I don't know. It's all just anomalies, right? It's all anomalies. Which 5,000 packs, how many is that in terms of booster boxes? That's 138 booster boxes? That's it? Wow. 18,000 packs? Dang, that's crazy. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's an anomaly, man. Oh, the image actually says 8,000 packs on the bottom? Okay, so this is 8,000 packs. I mean, it still doesn't change the numbers here, right? But that's still 8,000. Oh, no. I was just doing this number. No, I was doing 8,000, Alfred, because we got allocated 5,000 or 500 booster boxes for Paldea, and I was doing the math and saying, hypothetically speaking, if we opened every single one of our boxes from the Patreon, how many packs could we in theory have opened to do the sample size? That's why I give the 18,000. I wasn't pulling that number from this. They're practically identical rates as we saw in Scarlet and Violet, which is incredibly generous. It definitely is. What's the Raichu? They don't have data on it. It's annoying. See, I wish they did full breakdown values of this. This would be really informative if they did. If they had full breakdowns of the Pikachu, that'd be, or the Raichu, that'd be so helpful to know. Don't you love how they show illustration rare? They say 1 in 13, and they show it for the Tyranitar and the Magikarp. Which, to be fair, there's actually still multiple character rares outside of the Magikarp that we didn't hit. So it really goes to show you, like, the probability is super duper up in the air. Because the spread of diversity is so big. But I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I'm smoking crack in my, you know... How do I want to say this? It's tough because I look at what we pulled and I say to myself, based on what we pulled and the math that checked out, we averaged $3 in EV. Which you might say to yourself is not worth it because literally that's what you can go buy the loose pack for right now. But if you're saying to yourself, we got $3 in EV, well, actually ended up being, no, it was about $3. It was about $3 in EV. If you go say to yourself, you can pick up booster boxes for $92 a pack, or sorry, $92 a booster box, that's $255. And then you might say to yourself, okay, well, Eli, that doesn't take into factor, you know, shipping and fees and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, it's a fair, you know, assessment. But it's just so much more expensive to ship a pack, I feel. I don't know, maybe that's just because I'm getting discounted. You know, I'm getting shipping with stamps, but I don't know. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping overall. Actually, let's take a look and see what Paldea packs are right now. Or, yeah, Paldea packs. So, Paldea packs right now are going for $288. I mean, that's just maddening. That's just kind of maddening to me. You know? Eli, gotta ask. This is a hey, what's up, Nostalgia? Eli got asked this a lot in my live, and it goes on in the convo right now. Do you consider these chase cards now rare? Seeing 1 in 500 pack seems rare. What do you think? Well, Nostalgianomics decided to stop by the stream, and he didn't bring all of his 100 viewers from his live. Wow, rude, good sir. Rude, good sir. Didn't even invite me on the stream. Took some of my viewers to his impromptu stream and doesn't bring any over and starts asking questions. No, I'm just kidding. Good to see you, as always, Alex. But to answer your question, you said that considering the chase cards are now seen as rare for 1 in 500 packs, what do I think? I mean, yeah, they're drastically rare, right? Like, we talk about the facts of the matter, but here's the deal. Do you consider these chase cards are now rare? I guess let me ask you this, Alex. In the context of the question you're asking, are you referring to the Magikarp? Are you referring to the Tyranitar? Or what are you referencing? Because I would love to understand specifically what the context is in terms of the specific question you're asking. I'm just Alex. I'm just messing with you, my guy. But we go live every Tuesday, Thursday at 12:30. So if you ever want to do something, I always go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. It is getting closer to EV if it's at 2.8 cents, but that's for if you go by loose, right? If you're going booster box, 255. But yeah, Alex, are you referencing more of the Magikarp Tyranitar? Which I can answer your question in both regards. So obviously the Iono is ridiculously hard to pull from what we've seen. Which is, I meaning every card from vintage packs were easier to pull than these new cards. Just because there are more boxes and cards printed now shouldn't take away from the fact that the hits are rare, right? It's a fantastic question. Think of it this way. Let's say that there's 1,000 booster boxes, and we're gonna make this super simple. Let's say there's 1,000 booster boxes of base set, right? Which we know there isn't. And in order for you to pull the Charizard, every 1 in 10 booster boxes, you pulled the Charizard, right? So that means that there is... no. Let me give a better example. Let's say there's 10,000 booster boxes. It's 1 in, every 10 booster boxes you pull the Charizard, right? So 10,000 booster boxes, and 1 in every 10 you pull a Charizard. That means in theory there's 1,000 Charizards in existence, right? Now let's pump that number up. Let's say there's now 100,000 booster boxes, right? So 10 times the amount of booster boxes, right? However, the pull rates for the cards are now, instead of 1 in 10, it's now 1 in 100 to pull this, right? It's now exactly the same. So in your general question or statement that you're making, in theory, the vintage cards are much easier to pull, because if you go base set, what can you hit? You get 13 holos as an option. Holos back then were 1 in 3. Japanese was 1 in 2, depending upon the set. And so for that reason, you have a lot smaller of a pool of cards to hit from, and the pull rates for those cards, specifically being the main hits, super easy to hit, right? Compared to the newer stats, as we've seen with the SIRs, super easy to hit, right? For my first opening, it took 1 in 24. For my next opening, it was 1 in 30. From what we've seen with the data from TCG Player, it was 1 in 32, right? So super easy to hit. But now they're easy to hit, but if you do the breakdown of how many different ones there are, there's about 20 plus different variations of SIRs. And so now it no longer becomes a question of you know, how easy is it to hit an SIR? How easy is it to hit a specific SIR, right? And that's where the rarity probability comes into play. Because if we say that in a set, it's 1 in 3 for you to hit, there's 13 cards, right? So if your odds of opening a pack are 1 in 3, and then you also are now going to have 13 hollows from base set, if I'm correct. I think 13 hollows from base set. You've got about a 2.5% chance, in theory, of pulling the Charizard from a probability perspective, right? If we go and have a conversation about Paldea Evolved, and we say, all right, how many SIRs are there in this set? All right, let's go to cards. SIRs, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 SIRs. So odds are roughly going to be around the same in theory for the SIRs. But now let's start talking about the illustration rares, right? Is there a illustration rarity taken into consideration, right? Okay, so we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 24, 24, 28, 32, 36. So we say that the odds for what we're using off of TCG Player, which is 1 in 13, divided by 36, your statistical probability of pulling the one that you want on a consistent basis is 0.002%. Which, if we take that number, we inverse it into a percentage, it is a 1 in 46,800 for you to pull the card you want, specifically. Now, obviously that's not true. Like, you can't anecdotally put that, because as we've seen, like the pull rates for these are obviously closer to 1 in 480, right? Like, you're gonna hit this a lot easier based off of those general pull rates. But from a general percentage breakdown perspective, it is extremely improbable based off of the odds that you're going to have. Yeah, so any of the top rare hit alt arts, you forgot to multiply 400 to get the actual percentage. Thank you. Okay, I was like, that doesn't seem right. I was like, that doesn't seem right. No, it's thank you. I was so confused. I was like, why is that so much bigger? I was like, that doesn't seem right. Okay, thank you for correcting me on that one. So, sorry. Divided by this. Okay, 1 in 468. Thank you. Which, look at the math on that. 1 468, 1 480. Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you, Alfred. Thank you for catching that. I did the math, and I was like, this doesn't seem right. I'm saying it. It's like 1 in 46,000. Okay, no, this makes sense. Thank you, Alfred, because I didn't do the calculation. But anyway, so it's roughly correct, right? Based on the statistics in which they pulled it from, that's roughly correct. So in theory, yeah, I mean, the cards are much harder to pull, right? They're much, much harder to pull in theory, compared to vintage. Now, and as we did with the general calculations, with those general calculations that we did, it tells us, right? It tells us that in theory, when it comes to modern compared to vintage, because the pool is so much bigger, just because there's more being printed doesn't mean the rarity of the card is going to be different. Now, the ultimate question we now have to ask ourselves is how is this going to affect the long-term investability of these cards? And to that, we make an argument, whether you want to agree with it or not, of the perfect effects of what's been going on with Team Up. Because we look at Team Up and we look at what's been going on with the Team Up alt art cards, and we know the demand for it and we know the rarity of it. It's so difficult for me to not say to ourselves, based on statistical probability and demand, that it isn't going to be scalable long term for these cards to be extremely good investable assets. Now, granted, I say scalable because obviously there's way less in Sun and Moon era being graded than there is for the Sword and Shield era. And to be fair, with Sun and Moon era, the rarities for these specific cards, specifically, SIRs compared to, compared to alternate art, they're completely, different, right? It's going to be much harder in Sun and Moon era, but that doesn't change the fact of the matter, which is when you look at vintage cards and you see some of these older vintage cards and you compare to them some of these modern cards that are ridiculously expensive, it's understandable as to why some of them are expensive and some of them aren't. 16. Okay, that's how many we have for the SIRs. Which is interesting because they're 16, but if we do the math breakdown for the 16, compared to the fact that they pulled the Iono in 1 in 480, which is insane to think about, right? No, I was off by a decimal point, Matthew, because I didn't do the calculations by 100. But does that make sense, Alex? So I guess, long story short, to answer your question, when you asked your original question, which was, do you consider the chase cards to be now rarer? In theory, technically speaking, obviously we don't have the exact print numbers. So if we were to say it's a print for print, the exact same print, we would say yes, they're much more rarer. In theory, even with a escalated supply, you could still make an argument that they're more rare, even with there being more supply, but it's very difficult to make that argument because we don't have the exact print numbers. All we know is that with the general pool of cards being pulled and the general pool of rarities being pulled, it is now much more harder to pull specific cards because of that, right? Because it's going to be less saturation. Or sorry, there's going to be less saturation because of just such a bigger pool of cards, right? And that's what I find to be more interesting, because you've always had that argument of, I want there to be, I want to not have to collect so many cards in a set because I just want specifically to not spend several $100s, right? But at the same exact time, from a collectability perspective, although that can be true, but from an investability perspective, the rarity and the scarcity is what you kind of want, right? Come for the Pokemon, stay for the Eli doing math. Off by a decimal. So close. Almost had it. Yeah, I agree, man. I think when people see the value of modern cards from XY Sun and Moon surpassing a lot of vintage, they think it's manipulation, but I think it's the value of the rarity, especially with Iono. Yep. No, I 100% concur. And that's the thing, man. I mean, come on, guys. Let's go look at, let's go to PSA, and let's go take a look at Base Set Unlimited. Now, don't get me wrong. Specifically with Base Set Unlimited, and you guys will see what my point is I'm going to make with this. 1999 Pokemon. Hopefully 1999 Pokemon pops up. Is Pokemon Basic not going to pop up? Gosh dang it. Does anyone know what I have to look up to get Pokemon Basic to pop up? Is it just 1999 Pokemon game, hopefully? Ready. All right, here we go. So here's where it's fun, guys. So this is a base set unlimited Charizard Holo. Here's the deal, guys. Sure, there's only 458 in a 10 because a lot of people did not keep their collection in good health, right? However, there is 46,792 attempts for this card to get graded. 47,000 almost 47,000, right? Let's go take a look at a pop report of another set that has been drastically printed, right? Champion's Path, right? This, I think, or I shouldn't say drastically printed, drastically graded. I think I spelled champions wrong. Nope. Maybe I have to put Pokemon in front. Nope, here it is. Champion's Path. So, if we go take a look at this set overall, and we look at the Charizards, right? There is so many of this Charizard print, graded. It's crazy, right? How many of this Charizard was graded, right? There was a grand total of 17,544. Now, you might say to yourself, yeah, Eli, but there's 12,852 compared to only 458. That still doesn't change the math of the total amount of cards that people attempted to get graded from back then versus now. And considering the fact of the matter that if we were to take a set like base set, and if we were to just put it out in by today's standard, and everyone were to keep their cards in the condition that they have been nowadays, you would see the numbers for this 10 be comparatively the same. Now, you might argue that, you know, print quality is going to be worse, and so there's an argument to be made that it's going to be harder to hit it. But generally speaking, if it had, you know, by the same ratio standards, you would see drastically more 10s. You see drastically more 10s, but because this is a set that's the first set of all time, and it's a set that, you know, is 25, 6, 7 years old now at this point, I think. It's like, of course, and no one thought it was going to be as big as it is. Thought Alex might have disappeared after Eli took 15 minutes to answer the question. I'm sorry, I do breakdowns. It's because I have to do a real in-depth breakdown to the question that he's asking, because it's not just a simplistic yes or no answer, because I want to show the numbers right in front of where my thought process is going for this, right? I want people to see, okay, why am I just saying yes, it is in theory more scarce, right? And giving the logic behind it. Because when I see that the pull rates for the cards back then compared to the pull rates for the cards now, and the attempted grades back then versus now, comparatively after everyone was like, oh my gosh, I have a Charizard, maybe I can get a 10, when no one knows what the frick they're, you know, they wrote their initials on the back of their card, or they touched it with Cheeto dust and all of a sudden thought it's got a chance at a 10. Like, no, people were just sending it in because it was a Charizard, hoping that they got something out of it, right? But it just shows you that the supply of the Charizards back then were still drastically high. Drastically high. Isn't it rarity is dependent on hit probability, and scarcity depends on availability at a specific point in time? Yes, rarity does depend on probability. I would say that scarcity, kind of, it does depend on availability, but not necessarily depends on availability, because there's so many different variables that play into factor, right? Because obviously, you know, basic Pokemon was extremely available, but what made it scarce is not because there wasn't a ton available, because there was. What made it scarce was because there wasn't a ton of good condition cards that were available. So technically your answer is true, but obviously it's not like so black and white. What are your first few steps after you get a business EAN and some helpful tips you may have? Well, I mean, it's kind of tough for me to answer that directly, because when it comes to starting your own business, you obviously have to have a specific business model. I mean, owning a business is simple. What is your business model to generate revenue? How are you going to create a target audience or market to that target audience? Okay, now that you have those two things figured out, get your EIN business number and do step A and B. Like that's a business. That's literally as simple as it gets, if you're wanting me to just simplistically say it. So if you have a specific model of how you think is going to generate revenue, and you have a specific way of how you can target that audience to generate revenue, and then you have the business created, right? For me, what was my target audience initially when I first started? It was Pokemon Steel product / investor type content. Created a website, Pokemon Steel product. Did breaks here and there because it was fun to do breaks. And obviously posted content for investor types and create a community around that, right? That's the simplicity of it all, right? Now, if you're asking me more detailed, kind of answers, it's kind of difficult because once again, there's so many different ways to make money in Pokemon. I mean, so as an illegal process, like anything after EIN you should be aware of. Tax exemption, make sure you have your tax exemption filing. So as long as you have your EIN and you have your tax exemptions, I mean, those are the two biggest paper filings that you need to do for your business every year. And outside of that, I mean, obviously for me personally, I hire a CPA and a bookkeeper. You can do your own manual bookkeeping if you don't obviously have enough volume for it, but that's what I would say. But if you don't want to spend the money doing that, then you better be doing it right, because Taxman's going to get you. Yeah, but for comparison, the PSA 10 pop for the Latios is around 900, for example. The Umbreon VMAX pop is 7,000. Maybe Team Up is an outlier. Well, so here's the thing, Allo, about that. The reason why, I already explained this briefly, so I'll go into a little bit more detail, but hopefully not waste too much time. In terms of the example that I gave for that specific set, I was using it just as an example to show, regardless of the scarcity, the point that these cards can still go up in value. That's the only point I was making. I wasn't saying it because, I think that someday the Evolving Skies Moonbreon, which has a 10th of the, 10 times the amount of population, is going to, in the next year or two end up like Team Up. I'm just saying it's possible for vintage cards to go up based off of general scarcity. That's the point that I was making. And the point that I will lead into that is, once again, it's going to be scalable too. Because when it comes to the scarcity of cards, as long as the general demand continues to go up over time for things, it's going to do well. And that's just the reality of the situation, right? Is that if you have 1,000 booster boxes that are printed every year, right? And then you've got 1,000 people in the market. You've got a 1-to-1 ratio of supply versus demand. If you have 2,000 booster boxes now that you want to print every year, but then you have 2,000 more new people that come into the hobby, so you've got 2,000 being printed and 3,000 in the hobby. Now you have a lot higher of a rate of scarcity, even though you doubled the effective rate of booster boxes that are being pushed out, right? So it's just a ratio that in theory is going to continue to scale over time and naturally make adjustments. Evolving Skies is definitely not worth ripping whatsoever. Not at all. Not even close to worth ripping. God, no. You're going to lose so much money opening Evolving. Please don't. It's probably the worst EVs by far. It's probably one of the worst EVs. It's incredible how bad the EV is. But yeah. It's, I mean, let's be honest here, guys. All of this is, in theory, we have numbers to back it up, but still very speculative based on we don't have overall higher numbers. But more or less the point that I guess that I want people to take away from this is, just because it's modern doesn't mean there isn't justification and value because of demand. Everyone always wants to point to artificial price pumping, but there's also a thing such as artificial demand. Sure, it's entirely possible you're going to have general buyouts because that's totally going to be a thing, but that doesn't change the general number like being calculated, when it comes to just people willing to pay a certain price for a card even after the fact, because we've done buyouts before of like Steam Siege, for example, as like a fun like little joke, and we've seen the prices after we bought out every single item crash down even lower than what we first were buying them for. So it really goes to show you that you know, cards like the Machamp, for example, in theory, if it truly was a buyout and it wasn't natural demand, why are the prices still 4x of what they originally were at, even though it went down $20 from its original high, right? That's I guess my point is, I mean, you can be skeptical all you want, but the demand's still there. Crowd on PC ETB next to go out of stock. Promo maybe, just not hype enough. Expected value, Jerry. That's what EV means. Expected value. So like what your average value is going to be for pack opens. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to the PC ETBs. However, I have noticed that people are talking about the UPC or the 151. I mean, the 151 has been ridiculous, right? The Pokemon Center one. I heard that sold out immediately, like instantaneously. We'll have to take a look and see. Team Rocket, interesting. Yeah, sold out immediately. It's reselling online for 170. That's crazy to me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna start wrapping up here. Say we got a couple minutes left because we are in the witching hour where we have we're slightly over time, but we're gonna answer the last couple of questions, and then once we've done that, we will call it. So feel free to ask any questions that you guys may have before we just finish today's stream. I want to thank everyone, as always, obviously, for stopping by. Make sure to, you know, comment, like, subscribe, enter into the giveaways, and then Twitter, follow us there as well to enter in. What did you calculate as a good volume to hire someone to process your business tax filings? It's kind of hard for me to say, because for me, the minute I started making sales was the minute I realized it was worth hiring someone. Because at the end of the day, they're going to find, like, my time is valuable, right? And for myself, granted, I thankfully I was blessed with connection, so I'm a little privileged in that regard in terms of what I had to pay. But for me, it was well worth it, because I said to myself that the amount of time okay, how do I want to say this? In theory, I looked at it as very much so scalable for myself. And now it's not, you know, exact, but in my mind, if I were to hire a CPA that's going to work off 25 an hour, right? Or 35 an hour, or 40 an hour, or however, you know, much your CPA is charging. If I were to, or sorry, my bookkeeper's charging. If I were to have them, you know, it takes them to go through 100 lines, it takes them an hour. Versus for them to go through 500 lines, right? It's going to take them 5 hours, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether they're going through 100 or 500 lines, they're still going to be paid the same amount, and it's still going to save me time. And the more lines they go through, the more money I spend, but it doesn't matter, because scalably speaking, I'm making more money at that point. And so justifiably, when I first started my business, I did $40,000 in my first 2 to 3 months in terms of like gross sales. And I said to myself, just based off of that alone, it's worth it for me to get it. So that's was kind of the decision for me that made it. Now, if you're someone that's only doing like, you know, 100 sales a year, then obviously, you know, it's definitely not worth it. But even then, at the same point, you know, I would be curious to see what transaction sizes you're doing, the volume in which you're doing it at, because then, you know, the question is what is needing to be reported, because there's a difference between filing as a hobby and filing as an actual business, right? And for me, my general calculation was just, you know, I'm going to grow this business as big as I can. What is my most valuable asset in growing this business? It's time, right? And I always want to do whatever I can to free up time And on top of that, also save myself money. Because in theory, right, I say to myself, let's say that I did take the time to learn how to do this, right? And I didn't hire someone. That's going to take me so much more time to do it. And if I mess up rather than hiring someone who's a professional, that could end up costing me thousands of more dollars that either I missed out on or I have to pay in back taxes because I ended up filing incorrectly. Right? So it just felt like a lot safer, and I felt like I was going to be saving more money and, you know, saving more time, because time is money, by just hiring someone to do it. So I know that obviously John Boy or Collectible Accounting is an accountant, but I don't know if he does bookkeeping. So you'll definitely have to talk to him about it. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, I am officially over time by a couple of minutes. So I think we're just going to end it here. I think that's a good point to end it too. I want to thank you guys once again all so much for stopping by. I already did the spiel, so I won't do it again. But Patreon, if we got spots, recommend you join. And outside the Patreon, Discord's the place to be if you want to stay up to date on all things Pokemon USA has to offer. I did hire both. I will answer your final question, and then we'll wrap it up. I did hire both. Well, because the thing is with the CPA, all the CPA has to do is just go in and then look at the report that my bookkeeper made. So my CPA doesn't have to really do much at that point. But yeah. But anyway, that is all for